and I hope you are all there. And I'll go back to the chat every now and then, so I can see if there are questions and, if I can help somehow. So let's start. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for joining us here today. Also to thank Disal for this great opportunity to talk about a subject that is so important and can change the way we look into reading instruction. And last but not least, our partners from Books and Toys, who import this series and invited me for this talk. So today, I want to talk a lot about the importance of close reading in our teaching practices and how we can improve critical thinking by simply structuring our reading habits. Things we always do, we do consistently, and then we do for life. Okay, let me change here. So, close reading. What do you know about it? I'm going to ask you a little bit more about this later, and then I go to the chat. But basically, close reading is about digging deep into a text to really understand its meaning. It's not about simply reading it superficially and then going to some comprehension questions, answer to them, and then, just have, understand if they understood the text. But it's actually about taking every single juice we have in that text and using it to think critically about that text. Okay? So, not only about skimming through words, it's about carefully examining each word and sentence and to grasp the full picture of that text, to work as a detective. I love that picture. It's like a close reader works like a detective. Why is it so crucial? Well, it's because close reading helps our students to become better readers, better thinkers. By focusing on the text itself, they learn to uncover the main ideas, the details, the little nuances we have in this text. They also learn to think about the meaning. They learn to uncover main ideas. They learn how each individual word or sentence and how the ideas are connected and what the text as a whole is trying to say. So, do you all have your phones with you? I hope you do. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and go to the chat. But before, I would like you all to open your phones, or you can access livecloud.online and use the code TCD5. And I would like you to write me 5 skills you think we could be practicing, 5 reading skills, of course, 5 reading skills that you think we could be practicing while working with close reading. Or better yet, 5 reading skills that we could be practicing while having our reading instruction. Okay? I don't know if you all have the information here. Let me stop sharing and going to the chat. Let me see where you are here. Okay. So did you all have, could you get that? Okay, someone is writing. I'm going to wait and see if you got the link. I can share again. Oh, if I stop sharing, you cannot see my screen. Is that it? Let me share again then. I don't know if you can see the screen now. Let me go back there. Okay, good. Thank you. So I'll go back. I'll just make it bigger. Can you... Let me go back to this one. Can you still see it? Okay, I'll just go back. Yes, great. So let's see if we start getting some words here. Which reading skills can we practice while we are doing our reading instruction? Can you tell me what you have in mind? I don't know why this keeps going. Not sure if you... Okay, okay, let's go back to the chat then. I have here skimming, scanning. I think the link's not working. Oh, okay, sorry. So let's just write this on the chat if you want. So I have here skimming, scanning. What else? Inference. There we go. What else? Previewing. Awesome. Inference. This one would be showing in a bigger font right now in our word cloud. Predicting. Good. Anyone else? Basically, skimming, scanning, inference, predicting. There we go. So let me just go back to the presentation. Don't we have to be like from the circles to get all the things together? Okay, so let me check how I can make this bigger. No, I have no idea. I did it before that you could only see this. Let me see if I can open this. No. Okay. Can you still see this? I don't know how to close this. How did I do? Okay, 1 second. I think I should go here and then do the whole screen. Share. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so forgive me for because of the link. I have no idea why this is not working, but let's go back to what I asked. So we were trying to find some ways, some skills that we could be practicing while during our reading instruction, right? We got skimming and scanning there. These are methods, right, to get to the skills we want. So it is a way to find inference, for example, or to find sequencing, for example, to find making connections, to find sequence, making predictions. And these ones were there, right? Making predictions, sequence of events, sequencing. I think we also had inferences, inferencing. But look how many more, you know? Do we usually work on point of view? Do we usually work with author's craft? Do we usually work with identifying key ideas and details? We do. Every now and then we find this in our text and we just ask them, for example, to retell a story, right? We work with some of the vocabulary which is there, but do we actually work with the author's language choices. Why did they use this word and not that word, you know? So this is what close reading helps us do. By using very short texts, we don't use a lot of time in reading, and we can offer much more options and much more opportunities for students to actually work. Even punctuation, do you understand, or can you think of how punctuation is important? Well, we always see these memes that come, punctuation, you just change one comma and the sentences mean a whole lot of different things. So using those techniques in a method. So it's not like just, well, when retelling is important, then I use retelling. Or when the plot is very important, then I'm going to talk about the plot. When the illustrations help me identify some vocabulary, then I use illustrations. But no, if you use this consistently and you teach them how to look for or how to use those techniques, how to use those skills to find the real deal with that text, we are teaching them how to avoid fake news, for example, right? We are teaching them while they're reading an article, what is important and what they should be paying more attention to. So let's continue here. There is an article I highly recommend. Let me click. I think I have the bar right over the link here. So let me just try. This article by Nancy Boyles. In this article called Closing In on Close Reading, tongue twister here, the author emphasizes how important it is for us as teachers to help our students become independent readers. They will not always be reading with us, and then we are going to have those comprehension questions and they will be answering to it. They will be doing that independently during university, during, well, even their fun time, right? By directing their attention to the text itself, close reading empowers them to grasp the central ideas, key supporting details which are in that text, and it helps us understand if that text has any agenda behind it, or even if we can discover some new ideas in there. They learn to reflect on the meaning. They learn to identify those individual words and sentences that are so important, the sequence in which the ideas unfold, and this is so important, and the overall development of concept throughout the text. So they can see the text as a whole and not like in sentences or in answers I have for my questionnaire. So let me close this here because I want to show you something else. I'll give you a little bit, well, we can read this together. And I think, well, this is very dense, but I think it's very important. If we are not used to working with close reading, this will give us why it is so important to use this technique in order to prepare them for critical thinking, for of course, but also for exams. So close analytic reading stresses engaging with a text of sufficient complexity directly and examining meaning thoroughly and methodically. So many S's, right? So I think it's very important here in this sentence, it's very important to say sufficient complexity. We are not looking for very difficult, challenging texts. We are not teaching fluency here, and we are not trying to teach a lot of vocabulary. Some vocabulary, yes, they may be new to them, but this is not the purpose of close reading. We are teaching them how to think about the text. It's like having a conversation with the author, right? You have the text, it's not very difficult. I learned some vocabulary. The text is not very long as well. Actually, the opposite. It's a short text, and you can use it to focus on the strategies, to focus on the methods, the skimming, the scanning, and so many others, looking for a specific word and all those strategies, right? Directing student attention on the text itself empowers students to understand the central ideas and key supporting details. It also enables students to reflect on the meanings of individual words and sentences, the order in which sentences unfold, and the development of ideas over the course of the text, which ultimately leads students to arrive at an understanding of the text as a whole, right? So I don't know if it's getting clear. Let me go, I'm just going to go back just for a second to the chat and see if you have any question. And then we are going to go and see how we work as a detective. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Okay, not sure what is the choo, but yeah, there we go. So let me go back here and share my screen. If you have any questions, just pop them to the chat. We can go through them and then share, and let's go back here. Okay, I'm getting better on this, right? Good. Okay, so why close reading? It's not about reading more, although yes, they are going to be reading that same text for 3 or 4 times. Do we always say, okay, kids, now let's read the text again? Of course not. It's all about, it's a very inquiry-based method, approach. So they're going to read one time. We're going to ask them to read the text once. And then we are just going to keep asking questions. So they go back, they have to go back to the text in order to answer. And by doing that, they are rereading the text. What happens to us when we do something once more? It could be anything. I always relate to eating because I love eating. So what does it happen when you try something for the first time? It's very rare that you're going to fall in love with that taste. But the second time you try it, you're going to try something different. Some taste will, be perceived, or it's exactly what happens to reading and to anything. When you run for the first time, you cannot get to the corner. And then when you run for the second, you can do a block. And then when you run for the third time, you could be in a marathon in about a few months. So this is what happens to reading as well. So the first time they read, they're going to get like a whole idea of what this is. They would be able to answer to some comprehension questions, as long as they were not very detailed. So that's the first time. We want for them to have a big picture about the text. Then we are going to ask things about the author's purpose with that text, or what's that the author is talking about, or how does the text flow, or what the words mean, or what the structure of the text tells me. So this could be a very simple, like 9 sentences text, and I still could have a 50 minutes class, like one school class, to talk about the text and find different information. They read, they reread, and they use text evidence to support their thinking. And they reflect, and they read again, and they go to the author purpose. So it's a cycle. They read 3 to 4 times, and then they can actually unview each layer, every detail, every connection they might have overlooked in their first passage. Okay? Let me go back there. Look, I think if I do this, I can see if there's something in the chat. No, okay. So I'll just go back here and let's go. So here I have some of the main skills we should be aiming with close reading. And I want to mention that it's our responsibility as educators to build students' capacity for independently comprehending a text through close reading, right? I mean, when we are teaching English, if it's the English class, we shouldn't be only teaching English, right? I think this is more and more evident. I think it's more clear to us than it was when I was a student, that it's not only about English, but it's about what can we learn and what can we apply to our whole lives using English, right? So in this case, when we are teaching close reading, of course, we are aiming here, we're talking about using close reading with foreign students. So yes, we are going to be using English as the media, but also we are going to be teaching English, vocabulary, grammar, this kind of abilities. But we are teaching them a skill that they will be using in every single text they read. Okay? There's a quote from my dear Paulo Freire. Ensinar não é transferir conhecimento, mas criar as possibilidades para sua própria produção ou construção. I think this has a lot to do. I'm sorry if anyone in this workshop does not speak Portuguese. But I think this has a lot to do with the what we are talking about close reading, what we are teaching with close reading. It's a skill. It's not actually a one subject from English class, right? Great. So can I work with you in a real deal thing? I mean, if you can open, I have here a example from one book published by Scholastic. It's a program with 9 levels called Short Reads Plus, which works with close reading, of course. And I'm using one of the texts for an example of what we've been saying about close reading. So I don't know if you guys could try, and let me try this with you. So I'm sure this is working. Yeah. So it's going to say access denied. It's not. You just have to use the passcode we have here. SRPDS and log in. Yeah. Let me just stop sharing to see if you guys could make it. It's working. Thank you, Lizzie. All right. No worries, Marines. We're going to go through what I said now in a real activity with a real text, so I think you'll be fine. So let me just start sharing again. Here, entire screen, here, share. And let's go to the screen. There we go. Open it bigger. So I would start this lesson. And you can see you can open the, let me see if I can open here. The text, right? I would start this lesson by saying, this text we are going to read right now, it's about how can we learn from others, okay? So this is the big thing. So they have this in mind when they start reading the text. I'm also going to say that, of course, you are all teachers, so I'm just going to show the vocabulary here. But if you were teaching the kids, you would come up with some kind of flashcard, some kind of game, some kind of word list on the wall, saying what's enormous. This is easy for Portuguese speakers because, you know, it's pretty close to enormous. Disappear and meets. So especially meets, I think it's not something that we know by heart. So we should show them what this is the vocabulary we should be talking about. They should know before they start reading the book, the text, right? Then this is something I'm going to mention to you and not to the students. This is what would be in my lesson plan. I would say that while we're doing the close reading activities, we are going to be working with illustrations and text, with characters, with key events and details, with sequencing, and also identifying key ideas. Later, I'm going to ask them to work with a graphic organizer, where I want them to be practicing sequencing and again, identifying key ideas. And while writing, so I'm going to have a follow-up question for them, asking for their opinion about something and also about facts. So you can see here that with that, we can, so if we are working, and I forgot to mention in the beginning, while we were working, we were starting, why close reading is so important for exams. When they are doing a vestibular, whatever it is, a Cambridge assessment, a whatever type of exam it is, and in whichever language they're doing it, they must read some texts, some questions. They must understand why that question was put in that way. Why do they have some kind of illustration? Why the text is asking? So they need to understand the details about it, right? They need to understand the nuances about it. And this is why close reading, if they're doing close reading for 8 years of their lives, we don't have to worry about that in ensino médio. Usually when we start asking them questions or working with them, approaching reading from that point of view, is when we start teaching them what to ask or what to find. So if they're doing this for 8 years while in Fundamental, I'm pretty sure when they get to Ensino Médio, this is not the thing you're going to have to worry about. They know that. They are going to worry about content, they're going to worry about language, they're going to worry about something else, not about this one, right? Okay, so have you been able to open the text? Let me just open here. I thought I would be able to go back and forth to our tasks, but I'm just going to, if you stay with me for 1 second, I'll be able to open this in my little tiny screen here. Scholastic. There we go. There we go. And let's go to, okay. Sorry. Aye. When we're doing this online, we always mess up with something, right? Okay. I have to click in retorno. There we go. Okay, level 4 here. So when you open this, and let me open this as well. So let me just stop sharing. Let me open the text so we can all see it together. How do I do this? Okay. Here. Okay, so let me open this here with, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? Okay, share. There we go. So let's go back there. So this one you were reading is Martin Bloom Had a Messy Room. So what Scholastic did is that in this program, we found lots of short texts that are aligned to Cambridge and that are leveled for the age group, and we put them together. But basically, you can use any short text. You have to just find the way to AS, what ADS, FAS, ADS, FAS. There we go. Oops, ADS, FAS. No, fun. Why do these things happen, right? ADSF. Okay, I'll have to stop sharing and open again. But okay, so while we are reading, what have you found there? Let me open here who says that someone is ready for anything that happens online? Hi, Charlienne. Okay. So when we read that text, and let me just open this here. We are looking at, so some information that we can get here. Illustrations and text. What do the illustrations tell us, and what does the text tell us? Okay, so you can see that we are giving them information to understand the vocabulary they will be using. Oh, and I'm sorry, did I share my screen? I didn't. Let me go back. There we go, entire screen. Yeah. So I'll just go back here so you can see. We can see a lot of vocabulary we could be introducing here with the illustration. And what do we see? I don't know if you had the time to look at the text once. There's a rhyme. There we go. Why is the rhyme there? Can you think about why the rhyme is there? bloom, 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 bloom. Yeah. So we are trying to read them, of course. Chairs, bears. There we go. So if they had any doubt, uh, bear is a word you might know a very big chain of schools that has bear in their names, and I hear a lot of beer when they are talking about bear. So if you know chair and it's rhyming, now bear makes either blocks, box, books, hooks. Oh, I didn't see that one. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Why do you think that the it's a big, enormous, messy mess is written like that? Why would you think? What does it make you feel when you read the text like that? Your screen isn't sharing. Yeah, no, I'm not sharing. Okay, let me open this. I'm so sorry. Do you have the text with you? Would you like to open on your phones or on your computer? I'm not sure. Let me open this here. So for those who who have the text, why would you think it's a big, enormous, messy mess written like it is? Give me 1 second and I'm opening the text here for you as well. It's just opening. Let me open my screen. There we go. It's just opening and you will be able to see the text. It's not it's a mess. And can you see how mess it's getting bigger and bigger? When we go to our rooms and we see a mess, how does it feel? Doesn't it feel just like that? It's a mess. Oh my God. Today is not my day. Okay. How can I get this bigger? 200. There we go. Not exactly the screen I would like you to be looking at, but I think it will do the purpose, right? So I have the text here. So can you see it's a big, enormous, messy mess? If I could use one of the emojis, it would be with the one with the brain exploding, right? It's exactly what it is. When this kid, when he says, Martin Blue sat in his room. He looked around. What are you doing? Asked Grandpa. I'm looking at this mess. It's a big, enormous, messy mess. So, poof, right? Right there, his brain exploded. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and see. All right, who are these characters? Who are they? Can someone tell me who are they? I mean, we're teachers, so perhaps it's pretty easy for us, but kids could have, yeah, the boy's face in the first illustration said disappointed. The second illustration shows him happy, smiling, Martin and Grandpa. And why is he smiling in the second illustration? There we go. We're now jumping. And this is what's going to happen in your close reading. Although you might have all your questions and all your answers in sequence, something is going to happen. Someone is going to answer something that will take you somewhere else. They solved the problem of the messy room. Now, when Martin sees his room all messy, although it's still a big, messy room, a big, enormous, messy room, he knows what to do, right? And how did he get to learn on what to do? What happened in the story that shows us the way Martin learned what to do about his problem? And let me go back to the... Right? Yeah, there we go. He asked for help to someone he trusts, his grandpa, I mean, right? And then he took his suggestions and he was able, commands, there we go. He now knows what to do when he has a big problem. He can always ask for help, right? So let me just stop a little bit here and show you, just to check which activity I forgot, or which question I forgot to ask, but it's all about asking questions. So close reading is a huge inquiry-based approach to reading. Oh, there we go. Let me share my screen here. And here, entire screen, share. Now let me go back to here. Let me close this. Okay, good. So the things we mentioned: illustration, text, characters, key events. So who offers help, as I mentioned. What happened after Martin plays in his room on a rainy day. So now he's happy. I'm glad someone mentioned that. See how illustrations are important. The vocabulary. So which words in the story help you understand the meaning of the word pirates? So you can go as deep as you want. The thing is that you should be always going deeper, always looking with a magnifying glass to the text and finding different things. So now, as a follow-up, and we are just finishing our conversation today, but as follow-up, what could I do with a short text like that after I used all the skills, or I practiced all the skills I wanted? I should organize information. For that, let me see if I can open here a bigger one. I think it's easier to yeah, there we go. I think I don't know if so for example, I could have an activity to help them organize. So they were looking for all this information in the text, right? So it could be messy right now, especially in terms of sequencing. So what can I do? I could have an activity with them to try and get all that information I asked in a one-page activity, right? So the first day, what happened before Martin said, it's a big, enormous, messy mess. So in the first day, what happened? Oh, he was worried, he was sad, he didn't know what to do. What happened the next day before he said that? He was kind of smiling. I think he even liked what he had to do, putting things together, putting the, similar things together and all this. It was a game for him, I'm sure. What happened after Martin said it's a big, enormous, messy mess? The first day, he was getting information, getting commands from his grandpa and actually doing it, right? The second, he knew already what to do, right? So you see that it's a big, enormous, messy mess being written differently not only gives us the feeling of how Martin was feeling, but also give us like a point in the text where we can see before that and after that. So this is what close reading could be doing. We could always ask if after if this was just a a extensive reading activity, for example, we could just ask what Martin said, and of course they would get to the answer that he answered to his grandpa, and he could now, he knew what to do with his messy room. Okay, but do you see how many other details we were able to find just by asking 4 questions? So this is, and finally, what did Martin learn? Of course, I did this to my son as well. He's still practicing with his messy mess, but yeah. So let me just check here if we have anything. Okay. So today, this is what I wanted to talk to you about how important it is. And let me go back to this page. How important it is to add close reading sessions to your reading instruction. It's something we can do every week. And if we do that, at some point, students, while they are reading, they will be taking notes. What do you do? Think about yourselves. When you are reading a text, like one of those methods books, or, like those professional development books, what do? We read one paragraph, we take a deep breath, and then we read again most of the times, because some things are not very clear to us. Although, in general, we understand what it's saying, but there are things that we want to understand better. And what do we do later? We take notes, we highlight, we kind of ask and answer to our questions. So this is what we're teaching them to do with fun texts. It could be fiction, it could be nonfiction, it could be, as I said, it could be anything that's not too difficult, that's not too long. And this is what I had for today. This is my tip of the day, let's say. Do you have questions? Highlights, there we go, yes. Great. If you have any questions, good, I'm glad. If you have any questions, or if you need any information about this, I'm not sure if I can give you my Instagram, Lyrica, can I? Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. So you can find me I forgot, I just changed to English. Yeah, I forgot my Instagram. Oh my God. Palumbo, it's not Insights. Okay. No worries. 1 second. And we can talk about this. I love this topic. I think it's been changing the way we are now dealing. Close. There we go. Thank you, Disal. Thank you, Lyrica. Yeah. Okay. Very important theme. I'm pretty sure it's a topic that we don't talk about it too much. But I also think it's important, and it could lead students to a better understanding and better reading and learning, life skills, not only English skills. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Lyrica. Thank you all. I see you soon.